Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday,
Gang's
happy
all
Tuesday.
here. We're somewhere in the month of April. It's another long month, kind of like, January. January's a long one. It kind of goes long. But we're here. We are back. The gang is all here. We're excited to be here. It's the HR Morning Show. We have a
HR.
big one, and we are at show number 40. And we got a big one for you guys. We got Brian Wallace, one of my favorite OGs from the LinkedIn back in the day. He's one of my first, probably a couple thousand connections. Good dude. Excited to have him. He's going to talk about the Innovate Summit. HireRoad VP of Marketing. Yes, Kristen Boyle's in the house. Plus Indigo Sky's Sharon, Papo, and Snappy's Sullivan. So wake up with us. Let's get it going. But before we do that, let's do a quick round of intros and good mornings. Danielle Farage in the house. What's happening?
Good morning. Good morning. I am doing well. I'm dog sitting this week, and I love animals. So DJ is her name. She might be making a cameo later on and bring back the HR pause segment, IRL.
Pause for pause.
Pause for
The
pause.
podcast.
What about you? What's going on, Joel?
Oh, just chilling. We had a nice weekend with the kids. It was so much fun.
Yes. Happy Easter.
Yes, happy holidays, everybody.
Fun little adventure. Getting some eggs, and then getting the kids hyped up, and then getting tantrums. So that was
Where
amazing.
did you find like real eggs, like the
Nah,
Cadbury
we got-
eggs,
we got
or like
those-
plastic eggs?
We got those plastic eggs, and then my wife put in these little candies, and then the kids went and looked for them, and then they ate a bunch and got hyped up and threw up. But in the UK where I'm from, man, I don't know why they don't do this over here, but we used to get these big old chocolate eggs, huge ones.
Huge.
And I remember the one memory I have is they have this candy in England called Bounty, which is basically it's like coconut candy.
Ooh.
And I ate so much of it that I
Like a
threw up
Mars
and
bar.
I could never eat it anymore. Yeah, it's like a Mars bar but candy. It's called Bounty.
I like the coconut. I like the. I am my little addiction since I was a little kid are the Cadbury eggs, the full size ones.
Oh yeah.
And they changed the formula a few years ago, more of a fondant versus a crack that was in there. It was literally an egg filled with crack, and now they have a weird fondant. But they changed the formula on those. It's still pretty good, but they're not the same. We want to hear from you in the comments. What is your favorite holiday candy? Please chime in the comments there. What is your thing? I also am a big fan of Valentine's Day M&Ms. My wife gets me a bag of M&Ms,
Nice.
the pink and red ones and the white ones every year. For Valentine's Day, I end up eating an entire bag in about a day and a half. So I'm about as hyped up as your kids. Speaking about being hyped up, please get involved in the comments.
Get
here.
in
We
the
are nothing
comments.
without
It's
you
a live
guys.
show. It's a live show. We got
We just
Jump
celebrated
Baldino.
Passover.
Yes.
So I hot take. I like the macaroons.
I
chocolate
love
covered-
macaroons. I love
What a macaroon.
and I love coconut macaroon. And I love Danielle. I love the ones that
say
come in the
that.
tall can that you peel back.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are good.
Yeah. Coconut.
That's fun. That's fun. We got Brian Fink in the house just eating real eggs. We got Brian Wallace. It's just the
no.
Brian crew. If your name's Brian, get in the
Martha.
chat.
With an I or a
good.
Y, there's a lot. There's
No,
John Baldino, Humoroso.
We got John in the house. We got Brian in the house again.
So chocolate. So it's
Carissa.
interesting one. The chocolate covered matzah. My sister-in-law calls it matzah crack, and she does it with the chocolate covered matzah with almond slices and sea salt on the top and some other good stuff. It is, and you put it in the fridge, so it's cooled down, and then you chop it up a little bit.
I
It
had
is
some with a caramel underneath
Ooh.
the chocolate. Yeah, last week at the Seder. So the fun part of Passover for me is that for the past 3 years I've been going to my brother's wife's family, so my sister-in-law's family, and the first year we went was 3 days after my brother and her's wedding, and they literally had a camel in the
What?
driveway.
Why?
Dang.
It's coming to America. What is this?
Yeah, I mean, it's like the Passover story. We were in the desert for 40 years.
But where did they get a camel from? I'm assuming you're in the
From, like,
tri-state.
the local circus.
From
So
the
they
local camel store, bro.
It's like the local
Home
camel
Depot
shop.
rents camels. I mean, I
mean,
don't.
it's just like, you rent a DVD,
But
rent
they're
a
pretty
camel.
gross animals, right? They spit at you. They crap everywhere. Who wants a
It
camel in
was
their
a very
driveway?
nice camel. So anyway,
Did
they
you go for a
got-
ride?
No, so I
Do you have a
didn't.
picture?
My
Did you
dad
see its
does
toes?
it. I
Did you
can-
make
I
a
can
TikTok?
find it. No, I didn't. You guys are asking a lot of questions about this camel, but the fun part is that every
We need
year
to see
they
it. I don't
have
believe you.
something different. So last year was the belly dancer, and then this year
Nice.
was a shawarma station.
Oh, with the whole.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love shawarma.
Yep.
Big
I'll
shawarma
send a
fan.
camel
That's
photo for you.
Anyway, we
Helen
got
said I'm also called Brian. So I like that. That's good. And then Christopher said I like Cadbury dairy milk in Guyana. I
yeah.
love that. Yeah. Look, let me tell you something. The Cadbury's in America is different than the Cadbury's in the UK. I just want
Correct.
to say that.
And it is from oh my God, look at that. Danielle's got a camel.
Man, this is crazy. This is we're getting down. This is so HR.
We are the HR morning show. We talk all things people, talent, tech, anything that encompasses the world of work life. Recruiting. HR, we bring on the HR experts, TA experts. We got a couple of them here. World of work, Gen Z. We cover it all under one umbrella called the HR morning show. And we're thrilled to have everybody here today. So let's get to it. It's time for headlines. Yeah, we're part of Purple Acorn, guys. Purple Acorn, check it out. Follow us.
What's cracking? What's cracking? That's what I gotta say.
Danielle, what is cracking?
What's cracking? Quiet cracking is a persistent sense of dissatisfaction at work, and it leads to a disengagement, decreased performance, and an increased desire to quit. Surprise, surprise. So this article is basically talking about how bad it is. 54% of U.S. workers have experienced quiet cracking. And I mean, I just saw another one last week that was like 70% of people are burnt out around there.
Dude, we're done. Can we just say it? We're like done.
Just stop working
We're
now.
done with work.
Oh, I smell Joel. Joel's already like writing the TikTok for you. So I don't know who is into quiet cracking, but here's the deal.
Well, I'm all about loud cracking, all right? I was the type of guy that would loud crack at work.
I was not a quiet cracker.
I am done with this, okay? Give me one more assignment and watch me walk out of the door. I'm serious though. Like this is like why we're just not looking at. I feel like there's just so many things going on in the world, and there have been for the last 5 years that I don't even think it's like just in work. I just think in general, everyone's cracking right now.
Yeah,
like,
there's a lot of stress. There's a lot of pressure out there. And I think it comes down to engagement. And is it easier to be cracking at home versus cracking in the office, Joel? Should we return to office so we could crack in the office together?
Look, no, I don't think so. I'd rather just crack in my basement.
The privacy of your own basement?
It's just hard to.
Do we call these people crackheads? Is that politically correct? Could we go there? No.
Well,
that's why I'm not in HR.
The cost of this is like huge, right? So from this article, and you can go find it.
We'll link it up in the comments, guys. Throw it into the comments for everybody.
The global impact: disengaged employees cost the global economy $8.8 trillion annually, which is 9% of the global GDP. Like that's nuts.
Doge got to get in there.
Doge got to like
make some efficiencies.
They're doing like probably the opposite of whatever helps this.
I honestly just think part of the problem here is we just cannot have you just cannot have honest conversations at work, and it goes both ways. I'm getting really sick of employers promising things. I feel like as employees, like you really have to fake it, and you just can't tell people the truth. And so it's like you going into work and you have to be one person. You can't really say what's going on. And then you have companies promising things and they just have not been delivering. And, I just even think of, hey, it's like in the interview, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Like, I'm getting sick of questions like that because most of these companies aren't around in 5 years.
Yeah.
And so it's just, I don't really know how anybody right now can even, like with 9 to 5s, I don't know how you can feel stable in a 9 to 5. Like, I just don't. And most people I talk to, they're kind of worried about AI and all this sort of stuff, which is a conversation that seems to never end. So anyway, like Joe said, I am fired up this morning. Anyway.
Yeah, it's just an interesting space to watch. And maybe if people are home all the time, they don't see it. It's a lack of visibility. Maybe that's adding to it. Just playing devil's advocate here. Right? When you're home, idle hands.
Yeah, but most people
I don't really feel like working. I'm just gonna flip on the telly. Find out, see what else is going on.
Most people aren't at home anymore, though. Most people are back in the office, like at least hybrid. Unless you're an entrepreneur or something, most people back in the office.
This is why I feel like it's just better from a branding perspective to be honest about, and more transparent from a company standpoint about like the pros and cons or the ups and downs of like what you'll experience in a day in this role, right? Like, are there questions that you guys typically will tell,
Yes.
your people to, like people to
Well,
ask in the interview process, like,
let me
or
jump on that for a second there.
line
There was a
managers?
recent founder who put out a job post, and he was very transparent about it. He's like, we are in hyper growth mode here. Just to be very transparent, when this is not a 40-hour week work. I may need people to work on weekends. We're telling you what we're doing here up front. But it's
Right.
going to be worth it for the right person. If this is you, great, but we're setting expectations. Not every company needs to be a 9 to 5 out the door. Some companies are
Yeah.
hyper growth, some companies are early stage, and they're doing what they got to do. So it's about managing expectations in any job. The more you can be upfront as a recruiter, the more upfront you could be in a job description, the better success that candidate will have as they move through the process and ultimately into a hire. Right, Joel?
No, 100%. It's
100%
but
wrong. Hot
but
take.
no, but that's what I'm saying is people find it really hard to tell the truth because they don't. It's like we've just gotten in this pattern of like trying to make everybody happy, and it's like you just can't make everyone happy.
What the hell is that?
But I think it's more. I think it's more forced with candidates in the interview process, and I think it's more forced as employees. Like you got to fake it till you make it as an employee. Like that's why when I do those videos about not being able to trust people at work and it's not even like you can't trust people at work. You can trust some people. You just can't trust everybody, right? You got to be careful watch your back.
Yeah.
Those videos go viral, and that means something. It means that people
Yeah.
resonate with the fact that like if you trust the wrong person, you're gonna get screwed.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I mean, I learned that early on. Like, don't bring your whole self to work. Bring enough, and just be careful what you say. Rumors come back to you. Don't talk smack in the office. Like that's just like common. Like you don't know who's a spy, right? There's who's working at Deal, who's working at Rippling. You have no
Part of
idea.
the culture police.
For $6K.
Oh my God, cool. So we want to hear your thoughts on Quiet Crack and get involved with the comments here. And we're gonna keep this show running.
But I also just want to say with this real quick, where they say a silent workplace crisis, like it's been going on for years too. So I don't know why they're saying it like that. But anyway,
Yeah.
Well,
And
I mean,
look-
they have to have a juicy headline, right?
yeah.
You know about that.
Clickbait.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Headlines.
We have a lot to get to. It's time for the global report. Let's get to it. My friend Alin. Alin, hi. Oh my God. Wait, I'm gonna just do this myself here. Don't we have like an avatar image? Production team. Should we flip back? Get back to that in a second. Why don't we go to event round and come back with that? No? Here we go. All right, cool. Why don't we hit event roundup and we'll come back to Alin in a second. Guess what, guys? And let's hit this up here. The Paz is handing over the microphone at Unleash to the one and only Rona Pierce. She'll be sitting in for me at Unleash. Check out the new branding and the new look for the Podcast on the road with special guest hosts. This might start a new thing, and I think I'm excited about it. I love the logo in pink. I really do. It's standing out to me. It's different. What I'm excited for is Rona to bring a fresh perspective, a fresh voice to the podcast. She'll be over at the Fountain booth, actually the Fountain Executive Boardroom, which is right off of the main conference room floor, conducting a bunch of fantastic interviews with thought leaders, experts, industry executives. So come on over to the Fountain Executive Room. Check out Rona filling in for the podcast.
Upgrade.
I think it might be. I mean, she might just kick me out of my own job. I mean, imagine if I made myself obsolete.
Yeah,
you don't have to do it. You don't have to do the work.
No, I don't. It's just happening. So we're excited, and we're going to bring those episodes to you right after Unleash, thanks to our friends over at Fountain. What else we got going on, guys?
We got the we got the Innovate, the Innovate Summit conference in Owensboro. Is that how you say it? Owensboro, Kentucky. We're going to talk about this more in a moment here with the guy who started everything.
The guy,
the one and only guy.
The guy you gotta know.
The guy you gotta know if you want to get in. But this is on May 20th to 22nd, 2025. So it's coming up quick, coming up hot. We're excited about that. We can't wait to hear more about it as well. What else we got?
We are going to
What else
talk to
we
Brian
got?
after that. What else we got?
Well, me and Joel are headed to Vegas. of all
Back to
places.
Vegas.
Back
Of
to
all-
Vegas.
Shocker, a conference in Vegas. Who would think that?
I know, right? It's gonna be the ERE Recruiting Innovation
I'll be
Summit.
emceeing there.
What
Your dreams.
what makes this one different though, Danielle?
I think they merged a few different events, which is cool. And it's off the strip, which provides for a little bit of a more quiet.
Yeah, you can't get out. You can't get out.
Now you can't leave. Now you can't leave.
Yeah. No, I think it'll be really fun. I think they're highlighting a lot of new voices, myself included. Joel, I'm not really sure why they're bringing him, but they are. And it'll be
I
really
think they
fun.
thought they were going to get more exposure with having me, but I failed once again.
Wow. Well, either way, it's going to be a great event. I love that it's off the strip. I love it's something different. The resort looks cool. The lineup looks great. You know, you're bringing together, I think, was it SourceCon and ERE into one umbrella there. So you're going to have a plethora of experts, thought leaders, and just switching the vibe up, right? And listen, if you want to go to the strip for a dinner, whatever, you could hit that. But the Red Rock Resort is looking pretty cool. And
I
a little
myself a massage.
A Farage massage?
A Farage massage.
A Farage
Now,
massage.
instead of saying garage with an F, I should start saying massage with an F. But it's two S's.
Hey now.
Isn't it two S's?
Yeah, it's kind of a mirage.
It's a mirage.
It's a mirage.
It could be a mirage with an F.
Yeah.
No, but it's
Garage.
not spelled the
Well, no,
same.
I'm excited. One of the things I'm excited about is I'm gonna be hosting a session, and we're gonna get to it. It's gonna be real use cases of AI, and instead of hearing like vendors and people who are speculating, which is nothing wrong with that, because I appreciate people, vendors. They see a lot of different views from practitioners, but we're gonna hear from practitioners. So I'm gonna be pulling people up on stage, which I'm excited about because a lot of conferences, it's like. It's like teachers like teaching students. It kind of feels like this is going to be like, hey, get up on stage, and just really, I really want to see where that conversation goes because I don't often get to hear from practitioners. So creating that space to actually hear from practitioners is going to be great, and just doing brainstorming. So I'm excited about
That's
that
cool.
session. Yeah.
Yeah. Love it all.
Huh.
Love it all.
You're
So
making me
what,
think I might change up my presentation.
No.
all right, well let's bring on the man himself. Let's bring him on.
Let's go.
Where's Brian Wallace?
There he is.
There he is. Brian, what's up, man?
Brian.
Going on? Long time no speak, friends. What's up?
Good to
What's
see
up?
you. Brian was one of my early podcast guests back in the day. OG from LinkedIn, always keeping it real, doing the right thing. Are you still living in Cincinnati? Is that still a thing?
Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm in Israel. Sometimes I'm in Cincinnati, and sometimes things fall in the background. But
I
you know,
love it.
we do a lot. For those
Well,
of you who
good.
get the reference.
Well, good stuff. Well, welcome to the show. Brian keeps it real. So tell us what's happening with this event. Tell us more.
Yeah. So you ever been to an event and know
Nope.
the product? We could just stop the show right there, but I'll elaborate. Good.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, I saw the like that.
Yep.
Okay, whatever. Good. So you ever been to a show and then you're just the product and they're like, here's your badge, everybody, good luck. And maybe we're going to have like a round table and maybe we're going to have like some kind of speed dating, speed networking stuff.
Yeah.
And it just has to be all your tricks and talents and live shows and microphones and stuff like that. But what if you're not naturally good at that? Like, what do they do for you?
So
then
you
you
in a
end
corner.
I mean, you wish you were in a corner because at least you would sit down or calm down away
Right.
from the audience. But usually you have to go to these places and they say, don't worry, there's going to be serendipity. Serendipity, I call
And synergies.
Oh, yes.
And
Yes,
echoes.
all of the synergies. Yes. Let us connect ecosystems. But actually, you can connect ecosystems. So I think we're going to keep that in the other column for a minute. But seriously, though, I think a lot of places pontificate that if we just get a whole bunch of people, magically you will fall for that somehow you will come across the right person. Or we overpaid a gigantic famous celebrity that super is watching their clock and is not going to pay attention to you, is going to get on the stage. Yeah, you're a super famous celebrity. But I mean, are you going to sign autographs after? Or are you going to be like, okay, so then you're not the super famous celebrity that I know, because usually they just head right out because usually they don't want to hang out with anybody. So even like the famous that you want to get the attention of, or the famous instead of the celebrity corner, maybe just like the cool business people with all the logos that we want to impress upon all our products and services and shows. if they're not going to hang out with us and be open to doing business and partnerships and stuff, why are we even going? Just to be in a gigantic atmospheric shot of 20,000 people? It doesn't work. Just because there's a lot of people, that model in the conference and expo industry predates the internet. And I think that there was this scaling up over time before the pandemic that we put up with it, but it kept getting more and more expensive with less and less of an ROI and result. And sometimes we would have, a bunch of transactional stuff, but not necessarily the people that we want to hang out with as we go around all over the world, and who we want to have on our shows and who we want to collaborate with, because we have choices. Everybody that we impact and affect around us has endless choices of opportunity. So generally you don't want to work with a bunch of jerks, right? Like, y'all wouldn't be on a podcast together if you hated each other. I mean, maybe if that's like, it could be like court mandated or something. Oh, no, I've said too much. I'm sorry. But I'm back. So instead of just worrying about filling the room with this giant mosh pit circus of a loud room that you're trying to scream over everybody, what if the whole event was the back room? What if the whole event was an archipelago of trust? So a lot of people who are coming are my first or second level connections, which means it's people I've known for years or friends of friends, because we're not throwing a bunch of random aimless marketing to beg everybody to come. As it is, it's hard enough to get to. It's not in Vegas, I'll tell you that.
Thank God.
Yeah, amen to that. Like,
so where is it? Where in Kentucky is it?
It's in Owensboro, Kentucky. So Kentucky is split in half in the time zone world. Fun fact, Louisville, Kentucky actually used to be in Central. But GE one day came to town and they're like, knock, knock. Want all our money? Want to consolidate operations in the Midwest and the South? Change your time zone and we'll come.
That's wild.
So would they move to Eastern time?
Yeah, they went from Central to Eastern.
It's the best time zone there is.
Wait.
I don't blame them.
Yeah, right? It's like, what, 65% of the U.S. contiguous population? I'll take that. Listen, man, like, if we had Greenwich Mean Time, that'd be up to Greenwich, Connecticut and all them hedge funds. That's
so where do you fly into? You fly into Louisville or Lexington?
Lexington doesn't have a lot of options, and it's further east. So I would say Louisville or Nashville. So Louisville and Nashville are 2-ish hours away from the event. So it's going to be a pain in the butt to get to, or schlep, or whatever you like to understand.
Is there like any bourbon tasting going on?
So there's a fun backstory to it. The 4th or 5th oldest bourbon in the world has a distillery that's almost in walking distance to like the whole riverfront event center spot. We were supposed to actually do marketing work with this bourbon brand. They get acquired by private equity. Boo.
So we're not talking about the name. Okay.
Right. But that's how I got introduced to all the people building this place. Keep in mind, this is a metro area of maybe 80,000 people. It's the 4th largest city in Kentucky, but Kentucky only has like 4 million people. So you've got Louisville and Lexington, huge, whatever.
Right.
And you've got Northern Kentucky, which is part of the Cincinnati metro area. But this is like a small town in Western Kentucky. So you're already like on the way to St. Louis, which is like, let's say 3 hours west, right, by car. So I got to meet all the people building this stuff. And I guess everybody just watched Field of Dreams over and over, because by the time you add up like all the Riverwalk and the fountains and the hotels and this gigantic convention center. What's up?
Is it also home to the Bluegrass Hall of Fame?
Sure is. You have the Bluegrass Hall of Fame. What's up with that? That's right. And one of the largest children's parks in the world. So like by the time you add all that up, it's like 250 million.
I mean, the Western Kentucky Botanical Gardens. I mean, there's so much. I mean, I'm serious, guys. There's a lot going on there. I've spent time in Kentucky. There's a lot going on.
I haven't. It sounds fun. I want to ride a horse.
It's actually a very underrated state. There's a lot going on there.
Are there horses in Kentucky?
I think all the horses are in Kentucky. So basically, like everybody who has fancy horse breeding stuff, that's more of the Eastern Kentucky side. Like not all the way east, but like east, like Lexington East.
And Louisville, yeah.
And Louisville is where you have the Derby.
Horses take us from the airport to the event. Got it.
It's not far from Fort Knox. You could drive to Fort Knox too.
You could drive to Fort Knox. You could drive to Bowling Green, which is where
you
they
could
have
drive
the
to Santa Claus. You could drive to Santa Claus, Kentucky, also.
Dang, look at you! You're dropping all the local intel.
Like on Google Maps, like look at all the majors.
Talking about Santa Claus right after Passover, but hey, let's go.
It's fine. Well, tell us, who is this conference for? Who should be there? How do you get tickets? What's the deal?
Yes. So anybody who's ever been a fancy, sophisticated conference goer that is tired of just showing up because you're expected to and wants the resurgence of what made things like that great to begin with. So I spent a lot of time in one of the world's largest conference ecosystems. I spent years and years and years getting really, really good at South by. I was on their advisory board for like 5 years. And I remember when we used to create things. Twitter came from there. Foursquare came from there. Live streaming started there. Airbnb would have failed. Giving Tuesday came from there. And then it just got more and more expensive. And then a lot of the players sat it out. But you can recreate that nucleus if you know the right people and they're motivated to be giving and open and be really good at stuff and be ready to figure out how these intersections work. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
So is it invite only? How does this work?
It's not exactly invite only. There's plenty going around on social and stuff like that. But I'm just saying, like, we're not throwing a bunch of like ad dollars and stuff like that to it because I don't think it's necessary. I think it's probably going to end up being a few hundred people, but who's coming is great because a lot of these people are they're done. They're tired of the same old conference happening and they want to come out for something that's different. So instead of like a silo, like here's an HR conference, which I'm sure is fine and it serves its purpose, but it's limited because you're only going to be talking about the constructs of HR. Or then we're going to have an AI conference and here's a marketing conference. So this goes across industry and across role. So you're going to have a Harlem Globetrotter that's been to 88 countries and on The Amazing Race for 4 seasons. The guy who's inventing space elevators and graphene, which is apparently 40 times stronger than diamond. You're going to have people that are great at LinkedIn and have agoraphobia, but get on stage anyway and tell you how they do that. People who had failed the bar 3 times in a row and got into a traumatic brain injury and spent all this money on like Super Bowl commercials. So it's like a wild, different like group of people, but they're giving, they're open. Like you guys are familiar with the Go-Giver, you know about that? Yeah. It's like, instead of a go-getter, a go-giver. So you're generous first. So like some of the people behind that brand are coming. So it's just really cool, really entertaining and very open.
I love it.
Thank you.
Do you get free tickets to Fire Festival too if you go?
No, we're trying not to be scam artists. So one of our rules that we have a bouncer at the city limits is like, if we think that you're like narcissistic in any way and you're maniacs.
That's why we didn't get our invites, Joel.
No.
Damn it.
Hey, y'all are more than welcome. Man, like Adam knows all the highlights, so he can be your tour guide.
I love it. I love it. Put it on the calendar. Everyone check it out. Where could they find out more? Drop the link.
You know it. So if you go to innovatesummit.com and basically all the people who are talking about it on social, that's where it's at.
Love it.
That is where it's at. Brian Wallace, thank you for joining us. Thanks for talking about this incredible conference. We wish you good luck and keep it real, man. Keep doing what you do.
As always. You too, man.
Good to see you, Brian.
Awesome. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Ellen is here. There she is. In the flesh. Is this not your avatar? Can we not hear you? We can't hear you. Mic check. So today we're going to be talking a lot about, what are we talking about today? That not all AI is created equal. And NLP isn't the future. That's what we're going to get into here in 1 second. Ellen's working on her tech. We're going to go down to the settings. We're going to check our microphone. Ellen knows what to do. And the big thing is what, Ellen? Just because your tool uses AI doesn't mean it's intelligent or capable of driving a meaningful change. We have so much to talk about, but I can't talk about it by myself. I need a Lynn Bailey here. I don't read lips. What? Do you want to come back to this, guys? Is she giving us the keep it moving? We're going to keep it moving here, guys. This is a live show. Anything could happen. We're going to come back here. Let's talk about other podcasts on the Purple Acorn Network. It's not just the HR Morning Show. We are a community, right, guys? We're a community. We are the morning show. We're the Alder Hour with Matt Alder. My First Job with Mike Wood. And From the Desk with Jada Matamanaro, right? We have a lot of shows clicking. What's happening?
Man, we got shows galore.
In different area codes.
Shows galore.
We got shows. And you can subscribe to all these shows using the QR code here. So for the HR Morning Show, You subscribe, you never miss an episode. You get caught up on everything you need to know, all the fun, all our great conversations that we have.
Maybe I should scan it. Should I scan it?
that QR code.
Let's show everyone how easy it is. Oh,
Danielle, show
Spotify,
us.
guys.
Spotify.
Let me go to the HR morning show on Spotify. Here we go.
That's right. So
Acorn.
Steven, and Josh, Brian.
Give us a rating. If you listen to our show like at all, please go give us a rating on Spotify.
We want honest feedback. That's what we want. What are the shows we got? Let's see. So we can get the run through here.
Let's go to the morning show let's go to the Alder Hour.
The Alder Hour. Let's go.
Here's a good one. Where's the Alder Hour graphic? Matt Alder, legend of Matt Alder. Look at that.
There he is.
Really?
Not to be confused with Lou Adler. He told me, he was like, everyone always is like, he's like, are you and Lou related? It's like, no.
It's funny is Joel and I we had a great time with him in San Diego. We were hitting him up for Lou Adler. We were shaking him down for some intel.
Yeah, but this is Matt Alder. Right?
Oh, Matt
not
Alder.
Not to be confused with Lou Adler, but no, the Alder Hour is great because if you've listened to Recruiting Future, which is one of the best, if probably the best recruiting podcast there is, been going on like 400 plus episodes.
I think it was your first podcast.
This is a little bit different of a feel. It's a live show. There's tons of great guests. To definitely check that one out. So scan that QR code so you don't miss an episode. And that airs on Mondays as well. So it's like we have a show for every single day. So Monday, Tuesday, and then we have
job. Who doesn't love talking about their first jobs? Yeah, Mike Wood interviews people about their first jobs. I think it's a really cool story talking about first jobs. Like it could be totally unrelated to what you do now. And the most successful people in your mind could have started, doing barista works, I think that's really interesting. And I think it also, your first job experience shapes you a lot.
Of course it does.
Me. Yeah, it shaped me for sure. So I love that.
Go-karting,
yeah. Ringing people up for the go-kart.
Cleaning go-karts.
Go-karts.
Well, and then what's the last one right here? Where's Jada? From the desk. It's a good show. She's a pro. She's the only real journalist here. We just pretend to be ones.
Yeah, she just dropped a video on her LinkedIn of a story that she did as well. So go check that out. That's pretty cool to see her.
Jada's awesome. Well, we got a family here. We got a family of podcasts. We got a bunch of really great hosts, experts in their various disciplines, all under one roof, which is Purple Acorn. And you can find out more at purpleacornnetwork.com. Check us out on LinkedIn. Hit that follow button. Check out all of these incredible podcasts for you right here on the Purple Acorn Network. Let's get to Sharon.
Hello, welcome to the show, Sharon.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Yay, I'm so excited. I love the flowers behind you.
Thank you.
Love that. I have my own over there somewhere.
Very nice. Very nice.
And so for anyone who doesn't know who you are, where you are, can you tell us a little bit about you?
Yes, my name is Sharon Papo. My pronouns are she and her. And I am the CEO and co-founder of LGBTQ+ e-learning. And we are a training company and we are building LGBTQ+ inclusive workplaces.
I love that. Very much needed, especially for the next generation of the workforce. So I love that. So tell us a little bit about what inspired you, what led you here, and focused on building this company and helping other organizations be more inclusive.
Absolutely. So first I want to give a shout out to our co-founder, Dr. Cornell Verdea Woodson. And I want to say that I come to this work personally because I used to work in a workplace where I didn't feel like I could be out. And that really had a cost to me. I sat in an office and I didn't have any pictures of my wife and children. And I remember looking out in the foyer one day in our workplace and seeing one of my colleagues run to the front door, and her boyfriend had showed up and he had brought her lunch, and she gave him a big hug and a big kiss on the lips. It was like, oh, thank you, baby. That's so sweet. And I remember feeling really happy for her because she clearly had this special person in her life. And I also remember feeling this pit in my stomach because I knew that I couldn't have that same interaction in my workplace. And that there were so many ways that when I had conversations, I was kind of tripping over talking about my weekend or my family. And when I left that job, I said, I'm never going to do that again. And I was very intentional about seeking out workplaces where I didn't have to navigate those things. And the data says that around 46% of people are not out in their workplace.
Wow.
And so this is, we certainly are living in a time where people wonder if there might be consequences to sharing more about themselves. And because I've had so many conversations with people who have struggled in their workplaces, we decided to create trainings, and we have this e-learning course called Building LGBTQ+ Inclusive Workplaces, because we know that when people have information, you avoid a whole bunch of future HR complaints and issues, and you have a workforce that feels more seen, and that it impacts morale and retention and all sorts of good things.
Definitely. That's so 46%. That's a very high number. I'm curious, like, how much of it do you think is cultural? Like, older generations don't really talk about their personal lives as much, or they weren't, they weren't raised to talk about their personal lives at work as much as the younger generations are just kind of showing up and they're like, yeah, like, here's who I am, deal with it. So how much of it is generational versus like cultural?
Yeah,
within
I
the
think
organization?
that's a really good point. I believe a lot of it is generational, but we also are, of course, living in a current cultural and political season where literally people can't use public restrooms if they're transgender. And so in some states. And so I was talking to someone who was transgender this week, and they were saying, my job has me traveling to Florida for work, but what do I do? Because I want to do my job. I love my job. And I literally would be breaking the law to use the men's restroom, and he's a transgender man. He has a beard. And if he walked into a woman's bathroom, it would not go over well. And he would
Right.
not feel safe. And either would the women be happy to see him. So we are living in this moment in time that I believe is temporary. It's a backlash. It's we're all navigating it, but it's we have
Yeah.
lots to do.
It's just so wild to me because we go from like a state of total inclusion and major wins, right? We had so many wins just from like a female empowerment perspective. Like, since the 1920s, we've had so many wins, and then gay marriage, and then, and so much inclusion efforts, and then to go backwards, I think is like really jarring for a lot of people, to your point. What do you think from and obviously I think a lot of companies have publicly scaled back their DEI efforts. What do you think about, the current state of that, and how companies are reacting? And then maybe also, can you give us a little bit of hope and a little bit of a view of what will happen and what the future might look like?
Yeah. I see companies doing one of three things. So yes, some are taking a step back. They're rolling back their initiatives. Those are companies that feeling pressured. They may not have wanted to do these initiatives in the first place. Some are continuing, but they're doing it quietly. They're changing their language. They're changing their job titles. I trained a financial institution a couple weeks ago, and the CEO introduced me and said, we're doing this training because it is in alignment with our values. And we're also changing some of the language on our website because we don't want to be a target in this moment, but we're also really deeply committed to our employees, to our customers, and that's not changing. And then there are companies that are doubling down. Apple and Costco as two examples of companies that have said our diversity, equity, and inclusion and belonging initiatives have been instrumental in building us into being the most successful companies in the world. It has supported our innovation. There's tons of data that supports that. And so they said, what we're doing is not illegal, and we're not changing it because it's working. It's part of our success strategy. So why would we change that? So companies are doing one of three things. And when we look at companies, like I think about Target. So Target as a company that has rolled back some of their DEI initiatives, and they've been really loud and upfront and very inclusive in many ways historically.
Right.
And so when we look at the data, right, there's a boycott of them. And in 49 states, they have reduced foot traffic. So, and we don't know they haven't come out with their quarterly earnings, but I'm going to assume that the foot traffic is around 7 to 9% reduction based on the state. And so you would assume that less foot traffic is going to have an economic impact.
Yeah.
And their stock is at a 5-year low. So consumers are showing up with their dollars. They're voting with their dollars. And there's something called the pink dollar, which is the LGBT community. The purchasing power in the United States is estimated to be $1.4 trillion. And that's not even allies. And so if you think about the economic impact of people voting with their people buying with their values, that this is going to have an impact. So
Right. Yeah, and if you really look at even just the buying power of women versus males in the country, I think women have like 70% of the buying power, something around there. And when you think about the emotional decision making that goes into buying for women, I think the odds are this is going to be a bad financial decision. So I think it's I think I love that framing because it's more approachable for the average person to understand. Like this has a legit business impact, and the business case for DI just becomes even more, prevalent and in your face, which is really incredible. So from your perspective, what are, for the average like CEO, let's say CHRO, someone who's maybe listening to this, what advice would you give them to help them navigate this moment?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I think that every company needs to look at their own values and what is the impact they want to have in the world. So you always start there. And then of course you're looking at your workforce, and you want to have retention and morale and all the things that is going to let you have the workforce of today and tomorrow. And so in this moment, you want to be having these conversations. How are you going to navigate this time? But also when we look at Gen Z, so we look at the workforce, and they are 13 to 28. So they're already in the workforce, and clearly in around 4 years, they're all going to be workforce eligible. And so when we think about the future of our companies, what we know about Gen Z when we look at the latest Gallup poll is that 22.3% of Gen Z identifies under the LGBTQ plus umbrella. Mm-hmm. So that is 1 in 5 hires. And that's not just, then you have to think about all the allies of people who also are looking for workplaces where they can do great work, show up with their brilliance and ideas, but they also want to feel like they can be comfortable in their workplace. And so it's important that companies are thinking of the future of hiring, and for today and for tomorrow. And what we know about Gen Z is that, unlike me, where I sat in a role for years where I had a lot of discomfort, Gen Z is much less likely to do that. And there's a lot of data on that. So it's really important to them to find workplaces that are in alignment with their values.
Yeah, we're not sticking around for just anything that doesn't fit us. So I love that. So just before we wrap, where can people find out more about you, about the business that you've created and the work that you do?
Absolutely. Go to our website, lgbtqelearning.com. Please find me on LinkedIn, reach out, connect. Would love to hear from your listeners about what folks are doing, what they're navigating, and how they're addressing all sorts of issues around diversity, equity, and inclusion and belonging in their workplace, and especially LGBTQ learning. And can I end with one final thought?
Of course.
It's the idea of the curb cut effect, if people haven't heard of it. And it goes back to the 1960s. There was this man, Ed Roberts. He was in a wheelchair, and he was really struggling to get off the sidewalk safely, cross the street, and get back on the sidewalk. And so there was a lot of activism by folks in the disability rights community, and as well as allies. And there was legislation passed, the Disability Rights Act, that created funding for curb cuts. And so not only did that make it possible for folks in wheelchairs to much more safely and easily move about their lives and cross the street, but suddenly it was easier for parents who were pushing strollers and people on bikes and elders or people who had health issues who needed canes or walkers. And so the curb cut effect says that when we do something to support one community, there are ripple effects and impacts that support so many. And I want to give another example, all gender bathrooms. So which is just a bathroom that has a toilet and a sink and a door. It's a single stall bathroom. And people often talk about them as being important for people who are transgender, non-binary, to be able to just use the bathroom and not have any stress about running into folks that might give them a hard time. But a single stall bathroom is fantastic. There's a parent that brings a child, or someone who needs an attendant, or anybody who just wants a moment of privacy in the bathroom, as sometimes people do. So I think that sometimes people say, hey, why is there so much energy? Why are we talking about certain particular minority groups? And I think that it's just important to remember that when we do something to support one group, that there are ripple effects that often have great impacts for all of us.
Mm-hmm. Beautifully said. And I remember learning about that case and in college when I was studying psychology. Love it very much. Well, thank you so much for ending that on that beautiful story and note. And hope to see you back on the show.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Let's see if we got. There we go. Oh my God, she's offline. Yeah, let's just go with it. Lynn Bailey, there we go.
Go with it. There we go. Okay.
Now we're cooking with fire. Listen, it happens, right? Even the most tech savvy of us all
exactly.
We have some flaws. But we are here. Lynn, what's happening? Where were you? Where were you? Prague, Budapest. Where were you for like 2 days?
Last week I was New York. I was in New York,
yes,
and then I took a little. I was on the East Coast. Met a friend in Orlando and had a little fun.
Nice.
In the House of the Mouse for a few days, and now I'm back at my desk. House of the Mouse. Now I am back at my desk yet again. Headed to Chicago tomorrow.
Awesome! You just missed Evan White. Evan White is down in Orlando, hanging out in the House of the Mouse. He's there. He's there for a little stealthy conference. But let's get to it. What are we talking about today? We're talking about not all AI is creative. I mean, I preach this to my friends. I tell everybody, I go, you got to know the tools that you're using, right? What are we talking about here?
Yeah, you seriously do. So I'm really going to break, I'm going to talk about one specific element of AI that is not all the same. And that is that interaction layer that we're all really excited about. And, everybody's got a bot for this and a bot for that. And there's a lot of those out there in this space. Fundamentally, underneath that architecture, there are two frameworks at which these are built on. The old framework is called NLP. That's natural language processing.
Been around for a long time.
been around for a long time. And listen, I say old, but I remember building and bringing one of the first bots into a company that was NLP based, and how exciting that was. It was fresh tech, but they're complicated to build. It was fresh tech at the time, right? Really super cool.
People, they didn't know what to do with it. It's giving like a Ferrari to a 5-year-old. Like they don't know what they're doing yet.
Right. And
Can't reach the
now,
pedals.
yeah, and now we're starting to build off of large language models, or LLMs. And you can't always tell what something is built off of by looking at just that kind of UI that's sitting on top of it. Right.
Even in ChatGPT, you could kind of dig in a little bit and maybe you could ask the right questions.
Yeah, you can ask the right questions. You can try and dive a little bit deeper into it. You can start to kind of frame it. But fundamentally, the difference here for people is whether or not it is rule-based and static, or whether it is something that can kind of use its tentacles, go in, learn, adapt, grow, right? And why this makes a difference to you. If I'm building my tech stack, why do I care about this, right?
Why?
Well, I care about this because I'm hopefully thinking forward and realizing that I not only need this really great interaction layer, this thing that can talk to my candidates, or maybe even talk to my hiring managers, or help support me with answering and supporting questions on my career site, but I'm also proactively starting to think about the fact that at some point I'm going to want this thing to start to become agentic, meaning being able to take action for me. Right.
You're setting the prompts for everyone out there. They're kind of hearing this word agentic AI, agentic agent. Agent's a key word that comes out of it. You're basically creating a bot to do tasks for you. For example, in recruiting, I could have a bot go through a whole sequence of outreach and scheduling. Potentially, if someone with a positive replies back in a positive way, it'll trigger a response back with a calendar link or availability to it. And it's a step further than your normal CRM sequence, because it's adding additional intelligence to it based on the response.
Right, and it can start to do it it can start to predict what type of actions you want it to take. It can take them independently, and it's not necessarily based on kind of a static set of if-then statements. It's actually starting to evolve that orchestration, but that requires you to have some sort of LLM infrastructure on top of it. Right. And here's the challenge. A lot of us went out and over the last 4 or 5 years have started to put in some really cool bot technology on the top of our systems.
Like what?
And the challenge with that is that now I've got to go in and adjust that and get it prepared to be able to do these things that my C-suite thinks I'm suddenly going to be able to move forward.
Well, there's a balance of managing expectations as well, right? Like when you're pitching these things internally, when you're championing from them, it's always like, okay, what's the investment? What are we going to do with it? What's it going to do for us? How does it work?
Right. And how do I want to get there? And how am I going to start to move forward from where I'm at? So a couple of key takeaways for people, right? The whole goal of these series is for us to start giving people kind of the language and the questions to start asking, right? So the first is everybody needs to realize that there are levels to AI, right? And there are different components that are going to all have to work together to achieve this nirvana state that we all think is just going to suddenly we're going to flip a switch and everything's going to operate that way. So there is that tier 1, which is those NLPs. Then you have predictive AI. This is where we're starting to use historical data to suggest things and rank things. And then we have this nirvana state we're all going to get to, we believe we're going to have, which is agentic.
Getting close. Mm-hmm.
Getting close. But agentic's going to require a couple of things. One is going to require that baseline LLM infrastructure, something that can actually go in, grow, learn, and not be static. It's also going to require that it's sitting on top of some sort of system it can take action with, right? An orchestration layer. So what I like to tell people is you can have a really smart brain, right? But if the brain has no hands, feet, legs,
it's got to be able to execute, right? It's one thing to give it commands, but you have to execute on it.
Right. You have to execute on it. So you're going to need those infrastructure and components to be able to do that as you start to move it forward. So those are the big takeaways for today. Understand what you're putting in place from an experience layer. Is it NLP? Is it LLM? And understand that it's going to then require you to take different steps in order to set up your tech stack.
Let me ask you a question. For folks out
Yeah,
there that
go
might
for it.
be novice at this, they're trying to dip their toes in the water. They're trying to wrap their heads around it. What are some great resources, learning resources? Like you threw out a lot of acronyms, you threw out a lot of
I did.
things here, but for someone to really wrap their head around AI, because it's such a broad term, and you and I both know that not everything AI called AI is actual AI. So
Yeah.
what are good resources for folks to learn more?
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you probably one of the best places right now to get bite-sized pieces of information that are actionable and interesting is open up your TikTok accounts, people. There are a lot. Start search. There you go, Joel. Exactly. Start searching out there for people, not just in our industry, but in general, who are giving really interesting content around how these things work, how you can start creating prompts in a very interesting way, and in a digestible format. So that's my first place I
Interesting.
send
But how
people.
do you vet out the experts in that versus just the people copycatting and, coattailing?
I think here's okay. So let's
Do you have a litmus
let's
test? Do you have
let's
like a litmus test for experts?
do I care? I guess maybe I'm going to ask you this question. I maybe at a certain level, I ask the question, do I care if they're an expert, or do I care if the information is new, relevant, and interesting to
Well,
me?
that's a very fair point too. Are they telling me something that I could verify on my own? Like verify then
That's right.
trust?
That's right. If I can go verify, then trust. Go in, test it out,
Mm-hmm.
but don't do everything. Just
What
like
works?
I'm obviously I'm a marketer. I can tell you,
And
people can tell you anything.
but can I tell you something else which I think is cool? I didn't mean to interrupt, but I did interrupt.
Yeah.
And I really like at first, everyone doing the plastic box, the toy, the action figure, it became a little cheesy after a while because everybody was doing it. But what it really did, and the campaign worked for ChatGPT, people got involved, they used it, they played around. The people that were naturally inquisitive were doing more than the prompt. They were saying, okay, that's the first version that came out. The basic people just put that out, and I was like, you didn't put any effort into this, and you're
That's
happy
right.
with that. And then there's the people that really put effort in, and they fine-tuned it, and they started to explore, hey, if I give different prompts into this, if I give it more information, it's going to come out with more detail and better. So I thought that was a brilliant way to bring people into the GPT ecosystem.
I think it's exactly, and it's doing the first thing that everybody needs to do, which is go in, try it, play with it, test it, have it do things. So that's how you learn how to use this stuff, right? And how you learn how to prompt it and frame it and kind of leverage it as you go out there. So that's the first. You're absolutely correct. That's the first thing that people need to do. And then I would say the second thing people need to do, particularly if you're in the recruiting space, there are some great resources out there. I'm going to make a big pump right now for Social Talent. For those of you guys who don't know Social Talent, they do recruiter-based training or training for recruiters and for HR companies, digital-based training. They have an AI learning series that is top-notch. Talking specifically about how you can start leveraging these tools in your talent acquisition or recruiter space. So I would say that's a great place you can go in and start combining your knowledge base there. But I'm also going to say the third thing you need to do is you need to start doing a little bit of external research, not just in how you're going to use the thing, but in how the thing is built. So I recommend that people go in, start with a very simple GPT prompt. Right, everybody should have GPT downloaded at this point. If you don't, go get it on your phone. Dear Lord, figure
try
it
the
out.
free one.
Right?
Jeez, just try the free
Try
one,
the free
folks.
one.
Even
Go
my
in, put a
7-year-old is messing with it. Yeah.
Right. Put a simple prompt in and say, what are the top 10 AI terms I need to understand?
Mm-hmm.
And
Have
then
it teach you.
start there and have it teach you and start learning some of the basic terminology.
Love
Because
it.
you need to be smart enough to understand how these different elements work and what they are, so that when really well-meaning vendors or consultants come in and tell you what it is you need and how it's going to be built and how you're going to leverage it or what they say it's going to be able to do, you should have in your back pocket a couple of questions to ask them about how it's built, how it operates, and how it's going to connect and integrate together. Don't
Valuable.
assume just because something can just because a tool can do something doesn't mean it will work for you in your tech stack with
You
your
have to
architecture.
you have to try it out, and you have to you figure out. I mean, I use a lot of tools in my recruiting tech stack, and sometimes it nails it, and sometimes it doesn't, and I have to keep going and edit my prompts and edit the filters and let it run, because what you think in your head the output should be is not always what translates into the results. So give it
No.
a whirl.
Yep.
Lynn,
So there you
what
go.
else is going on? Where could folks find you? Where could they learn
So,
more?
listen, hopefully people are interested in this AI conversation and going a little bit deeper into it. So for everybody who's going to be at Unleash, hopefully everybody's going to show up at Unleash that's coming up here in a couple of weeks. That's the
Show
first
up.
place. Show up at Unleash. Listen, we're going to do something a little bit different this year. I've told all my sales guys to stay home. And we are
Really?
not doing a demo booth. We are not doing a sales booth. Instead, we are taking our space. We're opening up an AI social club. We're
Wow.
bringing in lots of people across the industry who are just interested in the conversation around AI.
Ooh.
And we're going to have a bar. Come get some drinks.
I
come
like
sit
this.
down and have a conversation about AI. We will talk anything, anywhere, anytime about AI
What
and
an
how
interesting
we're thinking about
approach. Switching it up, keeping it fresh. Thank you,
Switching it
Lynn
up.
Bailey. It is always a pleasure. I appreciate you. I'll see you on the road soon. Everyone, check out Smart Recruiters. Thank you, Lynn, and we will catch up soon. What do we got next? What's coming up?
Click, click, click. Clickety clack.
Click, click, click. ERIN.
Yo, ERIN. I want to give a
full
special shout out here to ERIN, our sponsor. If you guys have not checked out ERIN yet, if you've not seen the red shoes at every single conference, if you've not seen the amazing crew of ERIN, you need to employ.
You're living under a rock.
You have been living under a rock. And now, look, ERIN is the number 1 employee referral platform. Number 1.
Number
go to
1 in the
G2 to
world.
verify
Numero
that.
uno.
Number 1. And but they've partnered with Snappy. So Snappy can actually gamify, and employees can essentially accumulate points and earn gifts. All right, so
we got someone to talk about that, right?
Like
Don't we have an expert?
we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it.
Let's get into it.
First of all, you guys need to go to ERIN. Is it ERINapp.com? I should know the address. Come on, Adam, you know it.
ERINapp.com.
ERINapp.com. See, it's so ingrained in my head that even when I forget it, I don't forget it. So
I mean, my LinkedIn knows when I put in ERIN, it doesn't come up with folks who are named ERIN. It comes up with ERIN first. That's how much I tag
right.
ERIN. Yes.
I'm gonna be at Unleash as well, so I'm gonna be rocking out the red shoes, maybe even something a little bit more special as well. I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited.
A snappy outfit.
Snappy.
Like a Staffy. Are you and Mike coordinating? You and Evan coordinating for Unleash?
Don't worry about it, bro. Don't worry about it.
You guys are gonna have to FaceTime me real time. I'm so upset I'm not gonna be there. You're gonna have to FaceTime me, everybody.
I'll FaceTime you the whole time.
We could just have one thread. I could give you like a secondary iPad. Oh yeah, please.
I'll be with this guy. All right. Anyway, why don't we transition into our next segment? What is up? We got Rye Guy in the house. That's my new nickname for you. But Rye, welcome. It's good to have you on the show.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, man. Yeah, why don't you give everyone a quick intro? Who is Rye? What do you do? Who do you do it for?
Who's Rye? What do I do? Who do I do it for? Great questions. So my name is Rye Sullivan. I'm the Chief Product Officer at a company called Snappy.
Amazing.
Snappy, gifting platform, helping companies really leverage the power of gifting for all sorts of fun and magical moments.
I love it. And you guys have just partnered with ERIN. So tell us about how that came about. Like, why does it make so much sense?
Certainly. So let's maybe start with what Snappy does, and that'll help.
Yes.
Create that connection of why this is such a fun partnership. So Snappy, we're a gifting platform, right?
Okay.
There are tons of companies. You got moments where you want to recognize people, your employees, your customers, et cetera.
Yeah.
And one of the best and most effective ways to do that is you give a person a gift. And the more personalized and special you can make it, the better they feel. So if you're an employee and you get something from your company on your birthday, anniversary, feels great. Similarly, if you're a customer and a company reaches out to you and says like, hey, we see you've been a great customer for us, a gift, once again, awesome to do. Well, ERIN's got this incredible platform, right, that reaches out and helps connect people with employer referrals. Those are also moments to celebrate. Those are moments to recognize and reward the people who've done all this incredible work for you. And that's where Snappy comes in. We're this gifting expert who can help enhance and make that moment even better. And so we set up this great partnership with ERIN so they can include the Snappy gifting experience within their platform, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Well, we were just talking about AI in the last section. Our old friend AI. Have you heard of AI?
I keep hearing about this
yeah,
guy
yeah.
AI out there.
AI. I thought it was Al at first, but apparently I couldn't read the I. But so AI, how is AI and how is the tech evolving even within like the gifting space? Like what are you seeing and how is it impacting the businesses you're working with?
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. There's a fun part of gifting, which is it's like the oldest human connective experience you can imagine. Every society on Earth and every period of time has some concept of gifting built into what they do. And now you got AI, which is like this, next generation technology as well. How are the two of them going to fit together? And I think there's probably two parts that we're looking at and we care quite a bit about. One is, I think it's going to make every business, including ours, way more effective, right? There's a whole bunch of stuff that just goes into running a business, project management, customer outreach, things like that you're like, oh, we could probably automate this and do this much more effectively.
Yep.
And that allows us to then spend more time with our customers and doing the things that they care about. And then the second one is, can you actually incorporate AI into the experiences that we're offering right now? So using gifts as an example, we have this massive inventory of gifts to send out. And AI is pretty good at figuring out like, oh, based on what you told us about a person you want to send a gift to, let's help direct you to the right gift or the right series of gifts potentially for that person. And so there's both this kind of like behind the scenes thing of like, let's make our business, even stronger and more solid. And then there's this like really fun customer facing component of it too.
I love it. I love it. And talking about the data side of things. So sounds like there's a lot of work kind of going into looking at, what really employees are hoping for and what they're looking to get out of gifts. Can you shed some light into that? So maybe if someone hasn't implemented gift giving, to employees, what is the data showing and like what do employees actually care about?
Yeah, totally. I can even use some even pre AI learnings on this one too.
Yeah.
One of the things I think it's fascinating is lots of companies and gift senders, I think they almost expect that it's going to be this crazy gift that's the one that really creates this fun moment or connection with their people. And that's not actually always the case. Some of our top gifts that we see claimed kind of, over time have been things like air fryers or steam mops. So these items,
yeah, I love those air fryers. They're amazing.
They're great. People love them too. And it's like this thing that you might not get yourself unless somebody was like, hey, we got this for you. And now it's this like, oh, I have this cool thing that I always wanted. And it's staring in my face every day. And people love to use it. And so it's oftentimes these like everyday items that are like really, really heavily claimed relative to maybe like the splashier type things.
Yeah. I always kind of, well, let me ask you this. What do you think is what do you think people need to avoid when it comes to giving gifts? Like, how do you, because obviously, I mean, I love to receive anything, but like, can you go wrong with gift giving? Like how, is there like kind of things you want to avoid when you're picking out gifts as well? Like what have you seen kind of people do wrong with this?
Oh, totally. Yeah, there's a lot you can do wrong, which is probably one of the reasons people stress over it so much. Well, the first thing that you can do wrong is you can forget, which is really bad. Like employees, if you miss an employee anniversary, oftentimes they remember that. If you miss, somebody in your life's birthday, they're going to remember that. So just being there in the moment, first and foremost, you got to do that.
Yeah.
I think the second one is doing something that's really impersonal, or it feels like, oh, this was like an afterthought. Barely, engage with this. One of the things actually we've seen be less effective than the offering that we have at Snappy is things like gift cards or kind of cash equivalents, where it's almost like you put this on the person to go figure out what it is that they want, versus the like, I thought enough about you that I think one of these things is something that you would like.
So is that why my wife hates it when I get her a $50 gift card for our anniversary?
It takes a little of the personalization out of it, right? We actually there's a great Seinfeld episode. I forget which episode it is, but it's Jerry gives Elaine cash in it.
Yeah, I remember that one.
And Kramer gives her a like a physical gift, and she's like, "This is so thoughtful." And I think there's a lot of that kind of psychology going on underneath this.
100%. And I think, we were just doing a segment on the show where I think it was quiet cracking, right? So this idea that there's a lot of people who right now at work are stressed, they're uncertain about things. They're not feeling even happy where they're employed, but they know it's kind of a bad job market, so they don't want to go out and get, a new job. How have you seen like strategic gifting impact employees when it comes to retention and just feeling a part of things? Like what have you seen from the companies you partner with?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, first of all, it's I think what you mentioned, it's very top of mind for a lot of HR leaders and companies. They're like, hey, we've got, our employees. That's kind of our that's kind of like our core thing that we have. We got to make sure that they're happy, they're motivated, they're excited, and you want to retain people, but it's not just about retaining them. It's about keeping them really motivated and excited to do what they do. And that's where I think, these moments like gifting or appreciation, writing a thank you note, or just something that recognizes that person in that moment and being like, you're seen. We talk a lot about being seen as a kind of a core underpinning of gifting. I think companies are aware of that they need to do it because the retention numbers I got to keep up, but at the same time, the motivation part of it too. And so gifting has become more and more of a core strategy over time, which is great for us to see. We've also seen this same thing start to spill over into the customer loyalty lanes of people saying, I want my customers to feel the love too, and I want my potential prospects to feel the love as well. And there's probably just this like deeper emphasis on connection building, maybe than there was even a few years ago.
Yeah, and I think I've seen that outside of work as well, where I think there's a lot of people who I don't think I just don't think people feel as connected, particularly over the last 5 years, really with the pandemic, right? It's like we all kind of felt this kind of like disconnection, and it's interesting seeing people, face to face at conferences, for example. It's interesting to see like that hunger for that connection. And so I think any way that you can foster that type of real connection with people in a meaningful way is huge. And I think particularly at work, the amount of people you hear as a recruiter when you talk to people, you hear this a lot from people saying, I'm just not recognized for the work I do. I'm not appreciated.
Yeah.
And it's a big deal. It's just what's interesting to me is that the cash isn't valued, because I would have thought that maybe some people would appreciate cash, but it's great to hear that, it's even these everyday items that people wouldn't get. And it's like having that additional thought into it is massive. So what's the most creative gift that you've seen a company give to somebody? And like, what's the most kind of unusual gift that you've seen somebody give? Like, I'd love to hear a story around that.
Oh, it's a great question. There's it's sometimes not even just the gift. It's the experience that you put around it. And so one of the things that we allow for is a high degree of customization. So you can upload videos, images, you can change the background of the website when it opens up. So when a person sees it for the first time. And on one hand, there's this, there's some fun, quirky, personalized gifts you can put in there. But I actually think the best experiences have been when people have uploaded videos of a team saying thank you and designing the background. So when a person clicks on it, it's like, oh my gosh, this whole web page was made just for me. And there's almost a gift can be great, but it's once again, it's that wrapping around it where it's like, wow, this group is seeing me. This is personalized for me. This is incredible. I mean, at that point, it's almost like the gift itself can be secondary in some sense. It's really that moment of seeing people recognize you. And so on that note, I think we've seen some people put together like skits as part of the videos in the reveal experience. So you click on it, it opens up, and suddenly your coworkers are talking to you. Those ones are like super fun because you could,
That's what I would do. I love it. I love doing skits on social media as well, and I think it's
totally.
interesting that. So it's about the experience, and it's not even just about the gifts. So I love that, creating a moment for people.
Absolutely.
Where can people find out more about you, and where can people find out about Snappy?
Absolutely. So Snappy, easiest one. You can go to snappy.com.
Love it.
So it's go check us out. It's a fun website. About me, I think I'm on the website somewhere on there. Otherwise, you can find me on LinkedIn as well. Happy to connect and answer any questions.
Yeah, if you're not on the website, you got to put you on the website. It's employee recognition.
Just added us on there, so I might be a present somewhere on it now.
I love it. Well, Ryan, it's great to meet you. Looking forward to hearing more about Snappy as well, and looking forward to hearing about this collaboration and seeing what happens with this collaboration with ERIN as well.
Absolutely.
And hopefully we'll have you on the show again. So have a good one. We'll talk soon.
Sounds great. Thanks so much, Joel.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
We have an old friend, not old, but a friend for a while. Kristen, what's happening?
Hi, how are you? I
Good to
love
see
the
you
phone. It makes me think you guys should be doing like phone tap segment. Like
I was thinking more like prank calls. Yeah, like Jerky Boys.
It's like a Z100. You're in the New York area.
Yeah, we could bring it. We could bring it back. You know what's funny? Here's a little fun fact about Z100. I remember, this is like one, you know, you have your early childhood memories. I remember I grew up in Brooklyn. I remember the apartment we were growing up in, and it was around Thanksgiving one year. I was listening to Z100, and the announcer said, "All right, happy Thanksgiving, word to your bird." And I literally now say it every year for like the last 40 years. I say word to your bird. I think it's funny. Anyway, let's get to it. What are we talking about at HireRoad? Let's give throw some flowers and congratulations for HR Tech Awards 2025, 1 and 2 categories, right?
One category. It's kind of a subcategory. Okay. It's like talent analytics, but we won the Lighthouse Research HR Tech Awards. We were announced as the best analytics, measurement, and business impact solution.
Wow.
So really about driving that ROI and measurable outcomes for our customers. Very exciting.
Kudos to you and the team out there. So anybody out there, let's kind of hit the rewind button there. Tell us what HireRoad is all about. What do you guys do there?
Yeah, absolutely. So HireRoad, we have several different HR solutions, and really our bread and butter and crown jewel is People Insight by HireRoad, which is people analytics. So that's the product that we won the award for, and it's a people analytics SaaS solution, very kind of low cost, flexible, really meant for those mid-sized teams just getting started in data transformation and analytics.
That is fantastic. So what do we do with these awards? Right? Like, what do we do with them? I mean, I think it shows the hard work that the team does. Mm-hmm. Right? It's kudos, it's verification, it's really incredible. I mean, I've had the chance to get to know you guys and the work that you do there. What's happening like in the market? What are you seeing out there? What's kind of the litmus test?
Yeah, I think, what's cool, there's obvious, as everyone knows who's watching the show, right? It's a very crowded market, a lot of different solutions out there. And I think as sort of a smaller player in people analytics, this award's a really great way to show that like we don't have to be the behemoth vizier, people analytics giant of the industry to be really effective for the customers in, our target audience, which is those smaller companies, small to mid-sized, who maybe can't afford the
larger enterprise level.
Exactly.
Companies.
So, that's really kind of a great opportunity to showcase that and some of like the G2 ratings and G2 awards that we've won recently, which really just, again, speaks to like the customer service that we offer, the time to value. So all of these things that people might really be craving that they couldn't get with a larger solution.
And listen, I've had the opportunity to interview you, John, who else? I've had your CRO. Geez, why am I forgetting it? Yeah, Matt was on too. And I've really gotten to understand not only the people, which make a big difference, but the work that you're doing and bringing on some of your clients and understanding how important people analytics intelligence is, right? It's one thing to have all these tools, but if you don't have the data and you don't have folks interpreting the data to tell you the story, and watch out for your blind spots, right? To really look out for an organization and say, here's what you're not doing great, here's what you're doing great, here are those blind spots, and how do we fix them?
Yeah, and we're doing a lot of really cool custom research, something that I'm kind of spearheading with both a few different analyst firms. in the space with Aptitude, with Lighthouse Research, and it's really interesting things coming out. Like when you think about kind of being effective with your data and you ask HR leaders, those who are not kind of getting the buy-in and don't have the resources to really make sense of the data, they're very quick to say HR is about the people, which it is, right?
Right.
Those who have access to the data say, hey, it's both. It's, of course, we're in the business of people, but we need to use data to make sense of all of it. And it's more than just what's our turnover metric, but really there's so much more you can do with people analytics than just show, you're reducing turnover by 2%. Great job. What else can you do? How can you connect it to productivity of your sales team, right? To cost savings. There's so much more you can do that can really help HR leaders elevate their game. So it's, it can feel like a daunting task, but it's a real, there's a path forward, and that's what we really want.
There is a path, right? And for those companies that may not have the resources, even utilizing other companies' data points and research that's public out there helps tell a compelling story, helps champion for why you need research and why you need data to tell the story and to make changes out there. What's happening at Unleash? What are you guys doing over there?
What aren't we doing? We are excited. It's actually that Matt and I feel like we're traveling. We're going to be on the road. Our third event coming up in just only 2 weeks away, right? 3 weeks. And we have a booth, so you can find us. We'll be at booth 322. We also, our CEO, John, has a great session planned with Madeline Lorano of Apple.
She's great.
Focused on the ROI of people analytics. So this will sort of be the first sneak peek at this custom research readout from Aptitude. And it not only pinpointing kind of the areas where HR and TA can actually demonstrate and influence ROI using analytics, but it also is kind of providing a blueprint to help leaders justify the spend on analytics or any other data-driven system, right? Because it's a really huge barrier. No one has budget. So how do you get the budget? And we have a very cool ROI calculator that we're sort of
rolling out. ROI, what is this investment? And fun fact, everyone, John Fetterman, CEO of HireRoad, and Madeline Lorano will both be on the podcast with Rona Pierce at the Fountain Executive Boardroom, doing interviews over there. So definitely check that out. I'm excited. You're excited. What else is getting you excited these days, Kristen?
What else? We have a bunch of, it's a busy month for the HireRoad marketing team. So we're going to the CHRO Summit in Chicago this week. We're going to Tri-State SHRM next week and Unleash the following week.
On the road.
On the road. Find us on the road. And after that, we're hosting a really cool, we did last month a webinar really tailored towards greenhouse users, because, there's all of these kind of well-known, loved, the bittersweet love that you have for some of these softwares. I used to work at Indeed. I get it. It's like, you love to hate it.
Love to hate it.
And, so Greenhouse, we did a really great virtual session for users of Greenhouse who, were just struggling to kind of get the most out of it and get the analytics they need.
Some added value.
Examples. And we're doing that now for Workday on May 13th. So
awesome.
Right around the corner. So yeah, Workday, you love to hate them. It's a necessary evil. And there's a lot more you can be doing than you probably are. So
I want everyone to check out HireRoad. Where else? Where were we plugging?
Visit us at HireRoad.com or visit us on LinkedIn, People Insight by HireRoad. We've got some really great content we're putting out on the daily. Feel free to at me, Kristen Boyle on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Kristen, thank you to you and your team. Appreciate all the value that you provide to the industry and appreciate our partnership. Thank you so much. And the team will see you out in Vegas again. Thank you, Kristen.
Sounds good. Great to see you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
At Humoriso, we're not just another HR consultancy. We're a team of dedicated experts wanting to bring your business forward. Our Humoriso Technology Solutions, HTS, are a different kind of HR tech. Give real-time insights without overwhelming managers with too much data. So whether you're a growing startup, an established company, our human resources, outsource support, payroll management are all there to help drive your business forward. So check us out and see what Humoriso could do for you today.
Good morning, beautiful people. Today on the weather, let's talk about college degree. So let's be real. College used to be the golden ticket. Today, the value of a 4-year degree is being questioned more than ever, in my opinion, rightfully so. The data is also showing that nearly half of Americans think a degree is less important to finding a good job than it was 20 years ago. There's a couple things driving this shift. So there is rising tuition costs. I don't know if anyone has kids that are going or about to go to college. Oh my God, I'm so glad I'm 8-9 years away from that. There's also the perception out there that everyone is a TikTok millionaire or Instagram millionaire. And we can't forget about the impact of AI and the uncertainty that comes with it. So you combine that with the fact that over half the grads that are graduating are underemployed. So they're working jobs that don't even require their degree. But there is a nuance. Not all degrees are created equal. So if you think about nursing, engineering, skilled trades, still a very strong return on investment. If you're looking at, say, general psych, liberal arts, gender studies, if you don't have a clear path or add-on skills to that, there's not a lot of market value right now for those types of degrees. So in reality, it's not really about having a diploma anymore. It's about what you can do with it. So employers are asking, can you code? Can you run a campaign? Can you diagnose a patient? Can you weld a pipe? So for us HR pros, we need to rethink a little bit how we look at pipelines. So are we prioritizing practical skills and credentials over prestige universities they've gone to? Have we built pathways for non-traditional candidates? Like, how are we looking at that internally? And maybe we just got to stop asking for a bachelor's degree just to write emails, which is what most jobs are now. So bottom line, degrees aren't dead, but the era of any degree gets you a job is over. That's the HR weather. Let's get back to the panel. What's your guys?
Oh, Serge is actually here. That wasn't a video?
It wasn't a video.
I thought that was a video.
Live.
You know what? I
Yeah,
haven't
shoveling
done a video in a
snow?
long time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna create. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and she said that she has a virtual avatar doing a lot of her video content. You're just typing in scripts, and she showed it to me. It was really good.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna do it
Really?
and just.
Are you
phone
trying
it
to
in.
replace me?
No, I'm gonna replace myself. I'm just gonna clone myself. I'm gonna just phone it in for the
I
next
think
6
people
months.
can tell.
Oh.
But
So-
getting back to the question,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry.
yeah, I mean, I will say it, colleges do a really poor job of helping people chart their career paths, and the college to career track is really broken. And I think we're hitting an inflection point right now. We're hitting a point where the opportunity just isn't there for young professionals graduating right now. Companies don't want to hire them as much. There are fewer opportunities. They're being replaced by AI because much of that work is, being offloaded onto technology. And realistically, colleges aren't training people on how to succeed in the workplace. So it's a big problem. And at the same time, there is opportunity opening up in things like trades, things like, the manufacturing and industrial industries. I've been talking about it a lot. I'm working on something in that zone. And yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with this one, Serge. I think also one of the problems, the key issues is that it's like the cultural pressure to go and pursue a degree and get the higher education. I know it's very prevalent in the Jewish community, Asian communities. Like there's just this cultural pressure. I think also immigrants generally, like
Right.
go to college. I came to this country for a reason, and you're going to go get a higher degree and you're going to keep pursuing degrees. And what we're finding is those people that are continuing to pursue degrees, there are fewer and fewer opportunities for them to actually get a job and pay off their debts. So I think we need to, like, parents, listen up,
Listen up.
Adam, hey, we need to think
Joel.
about like, okay, what's actually a viable career path and will provide stability, and a really successful future for my kid.
I love that perspective, and I appreciate you sharing that because it's been a long time since I went to college, almost 20.
No way.
ago. So like things have changed. But like in my day, you were demonized if you
Back in my day.
did not have a college degree. And I think it really screwed up our generation because there's a lot of folks that could have gone in skilled trades and would be extremely
Yeah.
successful right now. Think about the combination of a skilled trade and maybe a business degree or a business certification,
Hmm.
running your own plumbing shop and having 10, 20, 50 different trucks. You're really rolling into it. And I think we have
Killing
to
it.
go back to those days of, okay, find a path that works for you because college is not for everyone. Like I
Yeah. Think
struggled
about
mightily in
think
college.
about how many more people we'd have working with their hands. Like what happened to Legos? Like everyone
Uh,
used to play with their
they
hands,
still
and
do
you grow up and you don't play anymore.
Yeah. Well, Joel plays a lot with his hands. So Joel, what's your thoughts here?
with Legos.
Well, my thought is, I absolutely killed it in college. Like
Did you really?
I got almost like a 4.0, and I destroyed people all the time because I was really good. I just have good memory.
Yeah,
That
okay.
was all it was. I would just memorize stuff, and then I could recall
Yeah.
information. Then when I got into the real world, I actually really struggled because I realized that people who probably got lower grades than me were higher than me in a company. I
Like
also
me.
realized that
That
the
was
real
me.
world, yeah, it's like, well, it's in the real world. There's a lot of other skills that are more valuable.
Street smarts.
So I think like, and I was always told like I have to go to like my mom was like, you got to go to college. You got to go to college. Her and my dad never went. We moved over to the U.S. and they were like, you got to get a college degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I was one of those people that did really, really well. It didn't necessarily equate to success initially when I hit the professional world. But what I will say about education is, and what I'm teaching my kids is education should never stop. You should never stop learning.
Yeah.
And I think whether or not you do go to school, the value in the degree, it should never be, just a piece of paper that kind of gets you something. If you genuinely are learning something, I see a lot of value in that. I think the problem is a lot of people approach it like how I did, where it's like a thing you get that's
Yeah.
supposed to unlock opportunities. And so even now with when I have people who ask me, should I get the certification? Should I not get the certification? I'm like, if you're going to get some value out of it and learn something new, then that's the value in it in itself.
Right.
And that's what we need to put the real emphasis on, right?
Right. I mean,
Well,
listen,
the skill needed to be successful in the world of work now changes every 18 months. So if you're not constantly upgrading and acquiring new skills, you're really falling behind. And that speaks to every generation in the workforce right now.
100%.
So Adam, would you send your kids to college? Would you encourage it?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends. I mean, I'm not that far away. My daughter's turning 13, so we're going to start looking in the next few years here too. And she will go to college. She is an incredible student, and for her potential chosen career path, you probably do need a degree or two. She's probably going to go into some kind of education or social work or something like that. Who knows?
Yeah.
And I also think, the other part about college, especially going away to college, is really, learning how to be an adult. As much as you goof off, you're learning independence, you're learning to live on your own. You're really transitioning from being a kid living at home into, if you go away to school, what it's like to fend for yourself. And there's there's a ton of value in that, right? That whole college experience and taking care of yourself and the independence, and there's a lot more to it. But I agree with everything here. I mean, schools that are winning right now are really adapting their curriculum to real time. They're teaching present and future instead of the past. I think that's really what it's about, and it's about real life skills.
Yeah.
Real life skills, and those are the schools that are winning right now. But the value of a college education has certainly gone down. There's no chance in hell my kids are going to an out-of-state school unless, they get full rides there. It's just not worth it. I'm not paying for my kids to party. Just not happening.
Yeah. I love the co-op programs too, because they really do incorporate that like working and then learning, and the combination of the two I think are great. And also to your point, Adam, like I think actually I was listening to Scott Galloway, and he was talking about how boys are maturing later and later, and girls are maturing earlier and earlier. And so I actually think it's more beneficial for boys to be going to college and boys to be going away and learning that independence and having those few years to grow than it is for girls. However, there are more girls in college than men. So what is the other career path that we're then providing men? It used to be, going into skilled trades.
Yeah.
So I think there's going to be a resurgence in this country in trades, and realistically, it is aligned with what the younger generations want from work, right? You go to a trade school, you do an apprenticeship, and then you start your own business. Like that's just how it works. So I think there's a lot of benefits, and I'm excited to see how this will shake out. But yeah, it's a scary time to be a university.
Yeah.
It sure is. Well, that's some spicy hot takes here. We want to hear your thoughts in the comments, in the socials. Let's keep it social. I want to hear what everyone's thoughts are on college. What else, Serge? What else is going on in the world?
Unleash 2 weeks. Me and Joel are going to rock it. Gonna miss you guys, ERE, but yeah, Unleash. Definitely
Joel,
catch up
back-to-back
with me.
weeks in Vegas. How's that flying with the family,
Are you
Joel?
staying there? What are you doing?
Are you staying?
Yo,
Why'd you have
well-
wifey come out for the weekend and just stay?
Well, Unleash, I'm only going for like 2 days, so I'm in and out real quick. And yeah, look, it's a sacrifice to be able to do it. So big shout out to my wife Rachel, because I mean 3 kids under 5's no joke. You know, any of you guys
Recruiting
know
is
that.
no joke.
Recruiting is no joke. Parenting is no joke. But it's in that weekend in between, or the weekend in between, I'm going to be taking the kids and like giving her like a huge break as well. So
That's how you do it. It's a partnership.
it's teamwork, making the dream work. You know how we do it.
I agree.
Awesome. That's how we do it. Thank you, Serge. Thank you for the weather report. This has been a good one. Catch Serge every Tuesday morning here with the latest and greatest weather. Thank you, Serge. All right, folks. I think that brings us to the end of the show here. We are going to wrap this one up. Big shout out to our friends over at ERIN. I want everyone to check out. Please go over to purpleacornnetwork.com. Follow us, connect, listen to all the amazing podcasts that we have. We're close to that 2,000 mark, so please follow along. We are a podcast. Find out more. Listen up on Spotify. Closing thoughts, Joel Alge.
Yo, my closing thoughts for today are treat your employees right, gift your employees, and don't go to college.
Ooh, Danielle, final thoughts here.
Get outside, guys. Get outside today. Enjoy the
It's
weather.
spring. Well,
Smell the flowers. Take your allergy medicine.
hit that Allegra and Claritin hard, folks. The allergy season is
I'm on
here.
the
It's upon
Zysol
us here.
game.
Zysol. Oh, my kids are on Zysol. I get it. Right.
And remember, if you want to learn LinkedIn, go to Joe Lodge's profile and get on that course.
Yeah, and you know where to find out more at thepodcast.com, right? If we're plugging all of our stuff here. Danielle, what are you plugging these days?
Nailgarage.com. Let's go.
Whoa. Well, listen, guys.
Deep
Safe
garage.
travels. Safe travels. I love this squad here. In the next coming weeks, you'll see some guest hosts coming in to switch things up a bit here. I want to give a big shout out to our production truck, Melinda and Ben. Thank you for everything, guys. Thank you to the Purple Acorn team in the background and in the forefront here. Danielle and Joel, appreciate you guys.
And the white boy in the back. Let's go.
And awesome. And everyone out there, remember, Purple Acorn, HR Morning Show, the place to be. Be good. Take care. And we'll catch you next week on the HR Morning Show. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Later.